Hi everyone, and welcome back to Coding with BM. In this video, we'll be jumping into part 1 of creating a currency converter app in Python. So before we begin, I want to apologize for not updating this channel for a while. I've been very busy lately and I haven't had any time to create content for this channel. So as you see on the screen, this is an upgraded version of the currency converter app. We have this swap button where you can swap the two currencies. And we have this settings menu where you can change settings such as the amount of decimal points in the output. You can also change the background color, and there's an option for offline mode where you can convert currencies offline. So let's dive into the code. So the first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to import the tkinter module, which will allow us to create our GUI app. So from tkinter import, and we want to import everything from the tkinter module. Next, we need to create our window. So to create a window, we need to type in root is equal to tk. Next, we need to add some settings to our window. So we'll add a title, root.title, currency converter. Now we'll add a window size, root.geometry, and I'll make the window size 500 on 800. And that's the first step. The next step is to start creating the elements that will show on our window. So the first element I'll add will be a header label. So to create a label in tkinter, we need to type in label, then we need to place it on the screen, add a comma, and then put in the text. So text will be equal to currency converter. And after we do that, we need to pack it to the screen. So we do that by typing in .pack. So this will add our label to the window. So without using .pack, our label won't show on our window. Next, I'll create the from and to drop-down menus. So before we create a drop-down menu, we need to have a list of all the options that the user can select from in the drop-down menu. So I'll create a list and I'll put it in the from options variable. And in the list, I'll put in 3 random currencies. In the completed project, you're not going to have these 3 options. You're going to have all the currencies. This is only here temporarily. In one of the future parts in the series, we'll be adding all the currencies to this list. So after we do that, we need to create our drop-down menu. So to create a drop-down menu, we need to use tkinter's option menu. So I'll create a variable from drop-down, and I'll create an option menu. And I'll place it on the screen. And after we do that, we need to add the list with all our options. So I'll add a star and the name of the variable. Then we need to pack it to the screen. Next, we need to copy it and just paste it down here and change the text to, and change the variables here. And now we should have 2 drop-down menus on our window. Next, we need to create the swap button. So we'll create a button and we'll place it on the screen with a text of swap, and we'll pack it to the screen. Next, we need to create the amount entry, where the user can enter the amount he wants to convert. So to do that, we'll create an entry and we'll place it on root, which is our screen, and we'll pack it. Next, we need to create the convert button. So button, and we'll place it on the screen, and the text will be convert. Next, we'll create the result field where the output will be shown. So we'll do this by creating a label, and we'll place it on the screen. And for now, we'll put in a placeholder text of result. And last step is to create the settings button. So we'll create a button, place it on the screen, and the text will be settings. Okay. So the last thing we need to do before we can run the code is we need to run the main loop. So to run the main loop, we need to type in root, which is our window, dot main loop. And this main loop will keep our window open. Now if you run the code, as you see, all the elements we created are on the screen. Next step will be to add some styling and some paddings. So the first thing I'll style is the header label up here. And first of all, I'll add a font. So after you specify the text, we'll add font is equal to parentheses, and then put in the font you want to use. So in my case, I'm using this font. And after that, put a comma and the font size. So in my case, it'll be 35. Next, I'll add a padding to this label. So inside the dot pack, I'll type in pad y is equal to 20. So this is gonna add padding on the y-axis. Next, we'll go to the from drop-down menu, and in the label here, we'll make the font bigger. So I'll type in font is equal to, and we'll set the font to none, which uses Python's default font, and the font size will be 25. Next, we'll add a pad y of 20, and we'll add a pad x of 75, and a pad x is padding on the x-axis. After that, we'll set the anchor to west. And what anchor does, it positions our text to the west, which means it positions our text to the left. Next, in the option menu, over here where we pack the option menu, I'll add a pad X of 75 and the anchor to west. And I'll do the same thing with the to drop down. Next, in the swap button, we'll add a pad Y of 10 and a pad X of 75 and an anchor of west. And then in the entry, we'll add a pad X of 75 and the anchor to west. And in the convert button, we'll add a pad Y of 30 and a pad X of 75 and anchor west. Then in the result label, first thing we'll add a border width. Border width is equal to 7, and we'll set the font to currency and the font size to 30. And we'll set the background color, which is BG. We'll set it to this hex value that is FFD733. Next, we'll add a width of 14, and I'll explain all this in a second, and a height of 3. So what we're doing here is we're adding a border width of 7. Then there is the font, which we set it to currency, and the font size is 30. And we set the background color to this hex value, which is a orange. I think it's some type of orange. And we set the width to 14 and the height to 3. So now we'll just add a pad Y of 20 and a pad X of 75, and the anchor will set it to west. Last step is the settings button. So in the settings button, we'll add a side, and it'll be equal to bottom And I'll explain all this in a second. And we'll set a pad Y of 20, a pad X of 20, and an anchor of southeast, which means it will position it on the bottom right. So side is where we want to place our button. So in this case, I set it to bottom, which means the button will be on the bottom of the window. So now if you run the code, as you see, this looks a lot better now. So we have this from and to, we have this swap button, we have this entry, we have this convert button, and we have the result output field. So this looks fine. I'll just add some more padding in between the swap button and the entry. So the swap button, and here down in the entry, I'll add a pad Y of, let's say, 20. Let's see how it looks. And yeah, I think it looks a lot better now. So this is the graphical user interface of the currency converter we'll be building. Please don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on future parts of the series, and thanks for watching.